Breaking news here in the CNN newsroom. Very busy day following a lot of big stories here. We want to take you now to Chad Myers. He has the very latest on this earthquake that we've been talking about, this 5.9, Chad, that started in Virginia and rocked much of the northeast coast.
5.9 is a pretty big quake. It's considered a moderate quake, but you get up to 6.0 and that's considered much bigger. The whole thing I want to talk about is that over the world, about 500 between 5.5 and 6.0 earthquakes happen every year, so not rare. But Virginia has only had 25 earthquakes since it became a state, just 25. And here is something that the USGS puts out after every quake, a very significant map. We can go through every little thing. Estimated number of fatalities right now, even though it's only been just a few minutes since it's happened, probably less than one, 78% chance of less than one fatality. Now you talk about how much money from U.S. dollars, from $10 million to $100 million, there's a 35% chance that there could be more than $10 million worth of damage from this. How many people felt the shake? Severe shake, 855 people felt that severe shake. About 10,000 felt a strong shake. And then if you get farther away into Virginia, 23,000, especially Henrico Short Pump. Into Richmond itself, 313,000 people felt moderate shaking. And over the rest of the U.S., the eastern U.S., 11 million people felt this shaking. Probably felt to some of you like a truck was going down the street, but it was a very large quake. And that was just to the west of Henrico County. There you go, Washington, D.C. The District of Columbia only 80 miles away. Henrico County and Richmond, Virginia, just about 50 miles away. There is a central area here right up the James River, west of Henrico County, west of Richmond, all the way up to Charlottesville. That's where most of the earthquakes will occur, even though there's not a fault line under there. Earthquakes do occur. Louisa County, and even into Mineral, into Richmond, Virginia, felt an awful lot of shaking, and we're probably assuming quite a bit of damage in some spots.
All right, Chad, thank you very much for that. We want to go now live to New York, where our Richard Roth is standing by. Richard, give us a sense of what's happening there in Manhattan.
Basically here, this is Lower Manhattan in New York City, and certainly a jittery place. 10-year anniversary of 9/11 coming up. Everyone very sensitive. However, there are many subway lines, underground trains running, and when I felt this, I thought, that's a little bit shaky for the number 6 or 5 or 4 train running up the Lexington Avenue line. But then when other people said, did you feel that? I think that was a quake. It was a much wider scope, and now what we've had is a major evacuation of all of these buildings here. We talked to several people who described what they felt.
A bunch of people from the offices just taking the stairs out, so we all just decided to follow. The jurors just decided to follow and get out. Okay. And then downstairs in the lobby, they were encouraging everyone to get out.
Yeah, I was on the 15th floor, and I just thought it was a little woozy or something at first because everything seemed like it was moving a little bit, but then I realized it was an earthquake.
Okay, and so everybody just started coming outside?
Yeah, I went to the hallway, and they started saying that we needed to go down the stairs and evacuate. So.
Had you been in an earthquake before?
No. Everything just started to shake a little bit, and then it was just like a little bit. It was just a little bit confused.
Okay.
Another man, a construction worker in a different building, thought it was a prank, that his friend was doing something with him. We were all down here covering the Dominique Strauss-Kahn case, which was a bombshell, and in a different right. Now we have Susan Caniotti, CNN reporter, who is covering a press conference by Cyrus Vance, the district attorney who dropped the case. What happened in that room?
Hi, Richard. Once he started to talk, all of a sudden the floor started to shake. And honestly, my first thought is someone shaking the back of my chair, because there were lines of chairs. And then it kept shaking. I quickly turned around and I thought, wait a minute, the floor's still shaking. Honestly, my first thought was, could this be a bomb? And my third thought was, is this an earthquake? But having covered a lot of them and aftershocks in New York and rather in Central and South America, it just seemed unlikely in New York. But what we did was quickly Mr. Vance left the room, and then the press corps went down 8
and his spokesman said it was like a ground-shattering thing. Susan, I've got to wrap you up right now for more coverage on the quake and other news. Back to you.
All right, Richard, and our thanks to Susan as well. We've been telling you that President Obama is on vacation in Martha's Vineyard. Dan Lothian is traveling with the president. Dan, tell us, has the president been briefed on what's happened, and where is he?
Well, look, I can tell you that we're waiting to find out if in fact, the president felt the earthquake. He is currently out on the golf course, and the pool of reporters who are in a holding area not far from where the president is, a couple of them actually felt the earthquake. Now, I was on the first floor of the building. Right now we're up on the 4th floor. I was out on the ground floor. I was down on the ground floor when this earthquake hit. I felt it. I lived for quite a while out in Los Angeles, and so I'm quite familiar with the feel of an earthquake, and so immediately I knew that it was an earthquake. The ground was swaying from side to side. Looked up at one of the light fixtures. It has a little piece hanging down from it. That was swaying as well, and it was quite surprising because we were starting to hear the reports of the earthquake in New York and D.C., and then when it starts hitting someplace like Martha's Vineyard off the coast of Massachusetts, all of a sudden you're saying, what is this? You know, how big is this earthquake? Again, we're waiting to find out if the president himself may have felt it out on the golf course. I did touch base with someone at the White House who described, who was inside the White House when the earthquake hit, and they gave me one word: intense. Back to you.
And Dan, how soon do you think we might hear from the president or from the White House on this? I mean, do you expect that he would make some sort of statement on this, or what details might be coming out?
Look, right now it would be just speculation. I simply don't know. I would think that they are trying to gather information, much like we are trying to find out what is going on. You know, how bad is the situation at the epicenter? I'm getting some information here. Okay, hang on just a second. I'm just getting some information. The president, who is out on the golf course, he just took a phone call, and one of our photographers out there, Peter Morris, just got a shot of the president taking this phone call. Again, it's speculation. It could be that he's being filled in on the information on the earthquake. We simply don't know, but the facts are that the president, while playing golf, did just take a phone call. So we are trying to find out. We're reaching out to folks at the White House to find out, what the situation is with regards to the president. Did he feel it? And will the president be doing anything, talking on camera? Will they be putting anything out? Or if they have additional information, that's still unknown at this point.
Do you have that photo, Dan, that you just mentioned?
I don't have it. That's just, I got it on BlackBerry.
Okay.
And it's my photographers out there who rolled on this. So we'll try to get you that video as soon as we get it here. But at this point, we don't have it.
All right, Dan, please keep us up to date as soon as you hear any word from the administration on this one. Let's go back to our Wolf Blitzer. He was actually inside our Washington bureau when this happened. He's now outside on the street. Wolf, hello once again.
Hi, Randy. We're here outside the buildings. All the buildings here around Capitol Hill have basically been evacuated, although slowly but surely they're going to start letting eventually people go back to their offices, go back to work. Capitol Hill was evacuated, the U.S. congressional offices, the offices at the Pentagon, elsewhere here in Washington. Vito Maggiolo is here, one of our producers in Washington. You've been in touch, Vito, with local security services. What are you hearing about the damage, the destruction, security situation in the greater Washington, D.C. area?
Well, so far, I have no indication of any major structural damage. What the D.C. Fire Department has done is they've ordered all their units to leave their firehouses and inspect their first alarm districts to physically, visually survey for damage. No reports of injuries directly connected with the earthquake that I've heard so far in D.C. Fairfax County is reporting no infrastructure damage.
That's in Northern Virginia.
That would be in Northern Virginia. And D.C. Fire Department's also reducing the amount of equipment they would normally send on a call because they're receiving so many calls.
But basically, as of right now, and it's very, very early, we have not received, at least in the greater D.C. area, Northern Virginia, Maryland, District of Columbia, any significant reports of injury or destruction.
Not that I've been able to monitor.
Have you checked in Richmond, which is much closer to the epicenter, Richmond, Virginia?
No, I've been concentrating on what's going on in our backyard here.
All right, well, there's a lot of people here who felt the earthquake. It was really obvious, Randy. I was on the 8th floor of the building behind me here at the CNN Washington, D.C. Bureau, and like everyone else, it started rather slow, a little shaking going on, but then within a few seconds, all of a sudden, you could really feel the floor starting to move. And when you're on the 8th floor, you see the desk moving, the papers falling off, books beginning to get rattled a little bit. You realize this is an earthquake. Originally, I thought, well, maybe it's just some construction going on, but it was a lot more serious than that. If you felt an earthquake in California, you obviously knew what was going on here. I had felt earthquakes in California, so within a few seconds, I realized that the whole thing, Randy, must have lasted no more than 30 seconds, I'm guessing, 30, maybe 40 seconds. People are still bracing for aftershocks. I did feel some slight tremors in the immediate minutes after the shake that was going on. But we'll stay on top of the situation. Meanwhile, a lot of folks are on the streets of Washington, D.C. They're worried. They're wondering what's going to happen next. But as of right now, no significant reports of damage or injury, at least in the greater Washington, D.C. area. That obviously could change.
Wolf, let me ask you one question before I let you go. We were speaking with Dan Lothian, who is covering and traveling with the president in Martha's Vineyard. He said the president was on the golf course. He did receive a phone call, but he didn't want to speculate on who that phone call might have come from. But what would be the procedure here in a case like this? You've covered Washington and presidents for many years. How would this work if there's a major earthquake that hits? What would be the procedure for the president in terms of making him aware and maybe even making him safe?
Well, the president, first of all, would be fully informed. He's got a team of national security, homeland security aides who travel with him wherever he goes, military personnel as well. John Brennan, the president's counterterrorism advisor, as we know, is there in Martha's Vineyard with him, briefing him. So the president, he's never very far away from instant information. If he's on a golf course or if he's in the residence or any place else, they would immediately tell him what's going on. Then they would get a sense of how serious it is. If it's serious enough, I suspect not necessarily here in Washington, D.C. It's about 80 or 90 miles from the epicenter, but closer to Richmond, Virginia, the destruction, the damage could be much more significant, not only in terms of physical damage, but in terms of people. At some point, the president, if there's a really significant amount of destruction, damage, injury, president could cut short his vacation and go to the scene and see what's going on himself. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, if in fact there's significant damage or destruction or human injury closer to the epicenter in Richmond, Virginia. But in New York, in Washington, elsewhere along the eastern seaboard, North Carolina, Ohio, you could feel this earthquake. This is a big earthquake, and it's obviously has a potential for causing some significant damage. Let's just hope and pray that that's not the case, but I suspect the closer we get to Richmond, Virginia, and that part of central Virginia, we're gonna see that the destruction, the damage is a lot more intense than it is here in the greater Washington, D.C. area, whether Maryland, the District of Columbia, or Northern Virginia.
All right, Wolf, I know we're going to let you go here because you have your own show, The Situation Room, to get started on that airs in about 2.5 hours, 5 p.m. on the East Coast. So, Wolf, thank you very much. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take you live to Virginia, where this earthquake first struck, where the epicenter hit in Mineral, Virginia. And our Jim Acosta will be live there for us. So keep it here on CNN. We'll have the very latest for you. We'll be right back.